Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Blessings in Surprise. In today's video, I'm super excited because it is finally spring and we're doing all of the spring things. So I'm getting some peas into the garden, and I'm also going to give you a garden tour and a tour of my greenhouse as far as what they look like right now in the very early spring. I have tons to do today, so let's get started. Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm in the garden. I'm going to be planting my peas. Getting kind of a late start on that this year because we have had an unusually cold March this year in western Pennsylvania. So normally I would have planted my peas in March, but the weather was not cooperating. So today we're going to do it today. This is April 3rd, I believe, today. So I have two types of varieties of peas. One is called Easy Peasy, and that is from Burpee. This one does not require a trellis. You can just plant them in the ground and they just use each other for support. You just plant them spaced accordingly so they can hold each other up. And then this other kind is Garden Sweet Peas. Those might be backwards because I have the camera flipped around on you. But these are also from Burpee, and these do require a trellis. So I'm using these trellises here behind me. So I don't know if you've seen my other videos or seen some of my other posts on my blog, but I did do a whole post about why I leave my dead plants in the garden all winter. I'll post a link to that blog post for you in the description box, so you can look it up if you want to, but there are a lot of reasons why I do leave my dead plants all winter long, and that is why the garden looks like a disaster, but that's okay, it functions. So what I'm doing right now, what I like to do when I'm planting anything, is pull the weeds out immediately before I plant. And again, the other post goes into more detail, but basically not only does that loosen the soil for you to get your seeds in there, but those old dead plants block the light so that new weeds don't grow up as much before you get your stuff planted, so you're not fighting against new weeds as well. But anyways, here's my strategy. So I rip the old weeds out, and then I go in with a little shovel, loosen the dirt a little bit, stick my seeds in, and cover them up, and that's it. One of the ways you can save time in the garden is trying to time your planting with the weather as far as rain goes. So a lot of times I will try to plant my seeds the day before it rains, or if it's going to rain in the evening, I'll plant them in the morning. And that way I don't have to take the extra step of dragging the hose out to water them in after I plant them. I just plant them right before rain. So that's one way to save time. I honestly can't remember when the next rain is predicted. I'll have to look that up and see if I need to water these or not. But you do want to water them within a day or two of when you plant them, and that will push out any air bubbles and give your seeds good contact with the soil so that they can germinate well. So I'm just gonna get into it because honestly I have less than an hour until I have to run inside, get changed, get cleaned up, feed the kids lunch, and get the girls to their baton lessons. So I will just have at it. Step 2 is done. I loosened all the dirt all the way down this row. So now I'm gonna just go down and put the peas in. Now I believe peas you want to plant about 2 inches deep. It'll say on the back of your package. I don't really pay attention to that too much anymore. I just kind of know. Oh, okay, it says 1 inch deep, but whatever, 1 inch or 2 in the ground. And you want to sow them 2 inches apart and in rows that, well, you do double rows with peas. You do 2 rows that are 6 inches apart, and then if you're doing multiple rows, you leave 2 feet in between each set of 2 rows. So you have 1 row 6 inches, 1 row 2 feet, and then 1 row 6 inches, another row, and 2 more feet if you're doing multiple rows. I'm of course not gonna do it the way it says to, because my setup here is that I have a hole cut in the plastic on that side of the fence and a hole cut on this side of the fence. So I guess technically I could just do 1 row of peas on each side and that would be fine, but I'm gonna do 2 rows of peas on each side because I really like peas and so do my kids, and all 3 of my kids will eat them, so I'm gonna try and grow as many as I can. But again, these are guidelines. It doesn't necessarily mean it won't work if you do it a different way. So anyway, the other thing I do when I'm planting anything is I keep records of how many I put in the ground. I write down the date that I put them in, how many I planted, and then I keep track of like any significant weather events or significant infestations of bugs or things like that. Just take notes about what happened that year and count up at the end how much did I actually harvest, and that helps me to know how many to plant next year, so I can tell, okay, if I planted 200 peas this year and I didn't get as many as I wanted to, and there wasn't really any major catastrophe that would have prevented more from growing, then I definitely need to increase the number that I plant. Or, you know, sometimes it's just you get a really late frost and they die, so maybe you need to plan on doing 2 plantings, doing, you know, 1 planting early and then saving half of the seeds for later just to hedge your bets, things like that. So anyways, if I have time before I post this video, I will try to link down my garden planning spreadsheet for you. I just made a spreadsheet up on Excel. I'll try to link that if I can, but if not, look for it in a future video sometime soon. I will try to do that for you guys. So I'm just gonna throw the peas in the ground now. I fit exactly 100 peas in this row. If you saw me keep looking over at the camera, it's because it's getting a little windy and I was just praying the tripod wouldn't blow over and break my new iPad. So anyway, let me give you a closer look. All right, so here are the peas, and I just used my pinky finger just to make a little hole in the ground where I was gonna drop the peas, and then I dropped the peas in. So all you need to do at this point is literally just use your fingers and cover over the seeds. So all you do is just push the dirt back on top of the peas and pat it down, and that's it. Your peas are planted. So I'm just gonna keep doing that down the row and get these guys all tucked in. Alright, the peas are all tucked in. Ideally what you'd want to do at this point is throw some mulch down on top of it and then water it in with the hose. I'm not gonna have time to do that, and I do want to get some more rows of peas planted before I have to leave in, oh good, 20 minutes. Great. Okay, so I'm gonna try and throw in a row of the easy peasy peas. I cleaned out a row over here earlier. See if I can give you a sneak peek of those. So that's just gonna go in this row here, and I'm gonna throw those in as quickly as I can. And now my phone's ringing, awesome. But anyways, we'll see what I can do. Okay, so time-saving trick, when you're running out of time and you hit a spot where the roots are just really tough to get out, just skip it and plant around it, honestly. You only have so many hours in the day. Just move on. So I don't know if you noticed while I'm going through here, I am stopping sometimes to pick things out of the soil. What I'm doing is actually picking out the earthworms. Sometimes when I get a big clump of soil, it has a bunch of earthworms in it. So I am careful to pick those out and put them back in the soil because they are so good for the soil. Make sure you don't kill those guys. Hey guys, before I throw these peas in, come check this out. All right, so you see all these big purple canes right here? These are wild black raspberries. They grow wild all over our property. We got some really nice berries off of these last year, and they are just starting to come into the season again as far as like starting to bloom and stuff. But so raspberries and blackberries, they spread sideways when they grow. They just grow horizontally through the ground. They send out new roots and send up new shoots and stuff. Well, this one cane, let's see if I can find it now. So this one purple cane, I don't know if you can see this, decided to travel into the garden and plant itself. So you see this, that little shoot? That is this raspberry plant that planted itself in the garden. So I'm gonna leave it there because black raspberries are delicious, and if it decided it wants to grow there, then it can grow there. Hello, my friend, welcome to the garden. And he can just grow right next to my peas. But I try to do that when the wild plants that we do appreciate eating move into spaces where I don't necessarily want them to be. I have a really hard time removing them because I really like eating berries. So I did the same thing with, like, over in the other section of the garden over there. There's a gate in the middle, and the blackberries grew through the gate, and I was like, well, you know, I really like these blackberries, and it's given us huge, giant, juicy blackberries. I mean, they were like the biggest blackberries I've ever seen in my life. I said, there's no way I'm cutting down this cane. It can grow here. I'll use a different gate. I have other gates to get in and out of the garden. But that is how I roll. I mean, hey, if it's gonna grow well where it is, then leave it alone. Time to get these peas in the ground before my alarm goes off, hopefully. And wait for it. 3, 2, 1. That didn't take long. And as soon as I get off the phone, guess what happens next? And that's my alarm, but I'm gonna try and get these peas in real quick. That's the mom life, constant interruptions. What are you gonna do? 108 seeds of the easy peasy seeds in that row. And like I said, I'm out of time. I would love to plant more rows. We'll just have to see what happens. That's the thing with doing any of this, really. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know my motto is good enough is good enough. There's nothing ideal or perfect about the way I do things, and I just get done what I can do in the time that I have. My kids are all in cyber school, so they're home all day, and they have activities during the day sometimes I have to get them to. Have to be in to make lunch and all that kind of stuff. So there are just like little minutes of the day where I'm like, hey, maybe I can hurry up and throw in a row of peas right now. You know, it's not an ideal situation where I can just spend 8 hours planting everything I want in the exact quantities I want and with no interruptions. I mean, you saw my phone ringing, and like, that's just how it is. That's how life goes. But I managed to get 208 peas planted today in the little time that I had, and that's a win because 208 is better than no peas. Now, I probably will come back at some point in the next week, maybe do a couple more rows of peas. And peas are a cool weather crop, and with any cool weather crop, you can plant them in the spring and in the fall. So if I don't have time to plant all of the peas now, maybe I can throw some in at the end of the summer and harvest them in the fall as well. And sometimes it's better to plan on doing that anyways, because if something happens with the first batch, you have another chance in that same season to get a harvest. So anyways, that's it for planting peas today, and I need to hurry up, cover these up, and get back to the house. One last thing I forgot, label. No matter how many times I tell myself I'm gonna remember what I planted here, I don't. So label what you plant. And there's a bee, which is a good sign. Hey, spring. Ah! All right, I'm getting attacked. See you later. Good morning, everyone. Today is Saturday, and I planted the peas on Monday. So I'm just walking down to the garden to check on their progress. And I'll just check on the other things that are down here while I'm at it. Sorry if the camera's all shaky, walking down a bumpy hill, but in we go. All right, so I'm not seeing any germination yet, which that's okay. We've still had frost several days this week, but I do see one place here where you see the pea kind of got uncovered, so I'm just gonna cover that back up. That happens if we have like heavy rain, high winds, which this time of year is pretty common. So I do like to check and just see if anything needs to be recovered. Let's go down the line here. Don't see any germination yet, but that is okay. Like I said, it's still pretty cold, so it takes a little longer when it's cold. Oh, wait a minute. Is that? No, I think that's a weed. Sorry, can you even see what I'm looking at? Yeah, that's a weed, okay. But that's the only pea so far that I saw that got uncovered, so that's good. Let's check this side. Not seeing any germination yet. The temperatures are supposed to get warmer this week, and they're going to stay warm overnight. Well, warm relatively speaking. Overnight compared to what it has been. So I feel like this week they will probably germinate. Yeah, I guess it was windy here, stuff is blowing around. So this is the easy peasy. Oh, we do have another pea uncovered there. Cover him back up. I see our lovely raspberry is doing well here. Oh, there's another one uncovered. Get him covered back up. Now, I am happy that I don't seem to be having the same problem I had last year, which is as soon as I planted my peas and my beans, the mice came and ate the seeds. That was rude, but I don't see that happening yet this year, so hopefully it'll stay that way. Another pea that just got a little bit uncovered there. Let's see. Anybody germinating yet? Oh, that might be one. I can't tell if that's a weed or a pea, but we'll find out in a couple days. We shall see. So we do have a few things sprouting. Overall looks pretty good. Okay, so that's the peas. Nothing really too exciting to report other than the fact that the mice have not yet eaten the seeds, so that's exciting. Let's go back over. We'll check on our raised bed greenhouse over here. There we go. Let's take a peek in here and see what's going on. Just gonna remove my little clips. These off. And then go in the processor. Alright, let's see here. The garlic is looking good. Let's see if we've gotten any more germination in here. So that tatsoi cabbage, we do have some germination. Got that guy, and that guy, that guy, yeah. So you can tell with the cabbage family, you get what looks like a 4-leaf clover. This thing right here, right there, that looks like a 4-leaf clover. That's what it looks like when things in the cabbage family germinate, like any of your brassicas, like broccoli, cauliflower, bok choy, even kale, things like that. It'll look like that 4-leaf clover. That's how you know that it's doing well. We're gonna peek on the other side. What do we got going on in here? If I can get in here without falling over. Looks like we do have some, oh no. Looks like we do have some mouse holes in here. Bunch of little jerks. Oh goodness. I don't know how they got in here. They must have climbed up the greenhouse fabric to get in, but that is irritating. So we'll see if anything actually survives in here. But it looks like we do have some germination with our, that is a type of lettuce that I haven't grown before. Simpson lettuce there. But it looks like we do have some germination there with that. Looks like our white Paris lettuce, which is romaine lettuce, looks like we do have some germination over there. This perpetual spinach, I've never grown it before, so I'm not 100% positive what it looks like when it germinates, but I'm guessing that these things are the spinach. It's actually more of like a Swiss chard. It's like in the chard family, so it's not gonna look the same as traditional spinach when it germinates. But, ooh, the kale came up. Yay, finally. See this little guy? That's a kale. Oh, we got some more right there. There's some more kale right there. And we got all kinds of stuff popping up. Yep, more kale right there. I don't even know where my finger is in the camera. There we go. So you'll have to excuse me because honestly, I am not good at watching where the camera is pointing and looking at what I'm doing at the same time. I am seriously struggling with like trying to point things out to you and keep it in the camera frame while I'm looking at the thing. So just bear with me, I'll get used to it eventually. But anyways, all right, that is all looking okay. Soil still feels moist, so I'm not gonna water that. We'll just close this back up, check on everything else. All right, so this is where I planted the potatoes. That might be, oh, let me see if I can get it in the screen now. Here I go again, talking about things that aren't in the picture. So this right there, that might be a potato germinating. I can't remember what they look like when they are like very, very new. Oh, there's another one. Wait, let me get him in the picture for you. Yeah, like I said, I'm struggling with this camera. Right there, okay. So yeah, that looks like another one. I think. We'll have to wait and see if those turn into potatoes. But potatoes in general, they take a really long time to germinate in my experience. So it's kind of weird because, you know, they're already growing when you bury them, but I guess it just takes a while for them to kind of put roots down and start coming up through the soil, because you do bury them kind of deep, so I guess it takes time. But looks like we do have our first signs of life there. Over here, I just planted carrots and onions. And let's see here, anything happening in there? I alternated rows. I did like one row of carrots, one row of onions, one row of carrots, one row of onions. I read that planting onions next to your carrots can help keep away some of the pests that bother carrots, so that's why I alternated rows like that. Looks like there's one onion right there popping up. I can't even remember how many days ago I planted these, honestly, so I'm not really expecting a whole lot of germination yet because it wasn't very long ago, but still have a few onions popping up, it looks like. So anyways, we'll check on this guy again when it's more exciting, when you can actually see more things. So while I'm out in the garden, we're going to take a look at all of the other stuff that's growing so far. Here's the garlic that I planted last fall. I did plant some of it directly in the ground, and if you wanted to see how I did that, I will link a video where I explained step by step how to plant your garlic. And this garlic is doing really well. I grow, because I'm in Western Pennsylvania, I'm in zone 6A for the USDA growing zone. And because it gets cold in the winters here, I grow the hardneck variety of garlic. There are a bunch of different hardneck and softneck varieties, but I always go with the hardneck varieties because the softneck varieties don't seem to survive our harsh winters in Pennsylvania. So I've done a lot better with the hardneck varieties, and I honestly couldn't tell you what variety this is anymore because I've had so many, and I just saved my cloves from year to year to replant them, and they all kind of got mixed together, so I don't even know what they are. But whatever they are, they grow well here, so I just keep saving seeds and replanting them. Now let's go check on some of the perennials. Okay, this is our Montmorency cherry tree. And we bought this, I think we got it last year, like last spring we planted this. And you can see this guy has some buds on him. He is getting ready to blossom, hopefully not too quickly because we do still have some frost in the forecast and don't want to lose our cherries. This we haven't gotten fruit from yet, but it's pretty thick on the trunk, so I'm thinking it won't be too much longer before it actually does bear fruit. Possibly even this year, so I'm pretty excited for that. So there's our cherry tree. Let's go check on the other stuff. Now down here, all these big patches that just look like a bunch of weeds, these are our strawberry patches. Now, again, I'll link the video as to why I leave the dead plants here all winter, so you can see that, but it does help to insulate our plants from the very harsh winters and protects our strawberries over winter. So now that the strawberries are growing through and coming back, I probably will get in here and weed some of this in the near future just to give the strawberries more room to grow and so they're not too crowded by these old dead plants. But the strawberries are growing happily and that makes me happy. We love strawberries. Oh, and here are some raspberries. Now these are, I want to say these are like Caroline raspberries maybe. They're a pinkish purple raspberry that we purchased that I put in, I think, 6 plants. So these are growing nicely. They're getting their leaves. They are ready for spring. So they're doing well. I'm not sure that these grapes are gonna survive, honestly. They're not looking so hot. I see no signs of life in our poor little grapes. I just planted these last year and didn't really, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. Do you see that? That looks like a fresh bud. This thing is still alive. Oh, thank you. That's amazing. I can't believe it's still alive. Well, that's super exciting. But anywho, yeah, I put them in last year, and like, I know this isn't the ideal setup for grapes, but it's what I had, you know, like I didn't have the best plan, and I never got around to like coming back and putting more rows of the nylon wire so that they could grow taller. So this guy, he just kind of grew sideways. I need to get in there and build some higher rows, but you know, I don't know. Does this guy have any signs of life? There's like one little bud like right there that looks like it's actually alive. That's super exciting. I thought these were all gonna be dead. Oh, there's another one. It's like another little bud right there. Okay, so maybe that's alive too. We'll have to see. And this is our other grape. This is the Concord grape. Yeah, this guy has some buds on it. All right, see that there? There's a nice bud and has some more. Okay, so I think the grapes are alive. That is super exciting. Ooh, now this guy, this is our Jonathan apple tree. And I know it needs to be pruned. There's a branch that's like hanging down and all that, but I am not very well educated in the pruning of trees, and I am afraid I'm gonna kill them if I cut something off, so I really need to do some more research before I start pruning. But this is our Jonathan apple tree, and he looks very happy. Lots of new growth on him. Good job, Jonathan. All right, and then we have one more fruit tree over here, which is our Honeycrisp apple tree. And let's see how he's looking. Honeycrisp. Honestly, I'm not really seeing any new growth on him yet. Maybe this one just blooms later because it is kind of a later apple. So hopefully he's still okay. But not seeing any. Oh, yep, you know what? There it is. Right there. There's a new bud. So he's alive. All right. That's good. So up behind the house, like back to the right of the house, up the hill, I had planted, when we first moved in here, one of the first things I did was plant like 20 fruit trees up there. I got Bare Roots plants in the mail. I put them all in. We had plums, pears, peaches, apples, nectarines, cherries. I mean, like just all kinds of stuff I put in up there. And the stupid deer destroyed every single tree, even though I had fences around them. It was just, they just knocked them over, broke them in half, ate the branches off, killed them. So I gave up on the idea of having a nice big orchard up there and decided that I was gonna just put the trees inside of the fenced in area down here that the deer don't seem to bother too much, knock on wood. So far the trees have been okay, other than like rabbits nibbling at the bottom of the bark. That's really the only damage they've had so far. So hopefully these trees will survive in here. And oh, I do have one blueberry bush. So we planted a bunch of blueberry bushes up on that hill too, which of course, same idea, you know, just got kind of killed. But this guy, ironically enough, this was up on the orchard hill, and one day the dogs were out, they smelled a rabbit's nest in like right next to this blueberry bush. And so, being hunting dogs that they are, they dug up the rabbit's nest, and at the same time dug up this entire plant. And one of my dogs just trotted over to me with this entire plant in her mouth and was like, "Here you go, did you want this?" And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, why did you dig up my plant?" So anyways, at least she brought it to me with the root ball still attached. So I hurried up and I ran down to the garden and I planted it down here, and it actually has survived. So that makes me happy. And this has all kinds of new growth on it. So hopefully those blueberries will do well down here. And again, being inside the fence down here, they should have more protection from animals and from my dogs. So last week I had the kids help me. We cleared out this whole section of garden. We ripped out all the dead plants and got this all ready to be planted, because we decided this is going to be where, from now on, where we're gonna plant all of our fruit trees and berry bushes in this section of garden. Couple reasons for that. Main reason being the water source for the garden is over there by the greenhouse. So in order to water this section of garden, it takes about, I don't know, 200 or 300 feet of hose to like get all the way to all the places in this section. And that's annoying to have to drag it back and forth all the time to be able to water this. So with perennials like fruit trees, you know, the first year that you plant them, you really do have to water them often. But after that, you know, once they're established, their roots are deep enough that you don't have to water them that much. You know, it'll just get watered when it rains for the most part. So I figured, why don't I put that stuff over here where it's the hardest place for the hose to reach, as opposed to, you know, having tomatoes or something over here that need to be watered almost every day in the summer. So that is what we're gonna do with this section, and I'm excited to go start buying some more berry bushes and some more fruit trees to fill this up this year. As far as some of our other perennials, this right here is our lemon balm, and again, this is last year's old dead plant that I didn't cut down yet, but now that the temperatures are starting to get warmer, I am going to come in and cut this back because you can see the new growth down there. That's the new lemon balm coming up, and I want to give it space to grow. So the lemon balm is here, and then these are my favorite raspberries ever. I believe we got them from Burpee, and they are called double gold raspberries. They are so good. I can't even tell you. They're like a almost like a pinkish peachish color, and I just don't even know how to describe the flavor, but it is the best raspberry I've ever had. And so I started out with just 2 little plants the first year that we got them, just basically 2 little sticks, and they have grown really well. They've gotten way bigger. They produced a ton of berries last year, and they're spreading horizontally, so you can see they've gone through the fence over there. They're putting up new shoots over there. So I think what I'm gonna do is just kind of cut back this plastic there and let them continue to spread sideways, because these are so good, and I'm really, really happy that they're doing well. And again, once the new growth is all established, I'll go back and cut off the like the dead canes that aren't producing again. I just didn't want to I didn't want to mix up the old ones and the new ones because I didn't want to accidentally cut down the new ones. So I'm waiting until all the leaves grow in, and then I'll go back and cut off the old canes at the ground level. But anyways, those are the double gold raspberries. Probably my favorite thing that grows down here right now. So other stuff that we have, let's see, okay. Let's go over here. I have one winter savory plant that survived the winter. Now, savory is a perennial herb, but in our zone, it can be hard to overwinter it. So I got a variety that's actually called winter savory, and it survived the winter, so I'm really excited. You can see that's growing back now, filling in there. So again, I'll come back and cut off these dead canes from last year whenever I get a chance. But that is one of my favorite herbs. It smells amazing. So the other stuff that's growing here, this is our thyme. The thyme has really, really taken off. I mean, this started out with, I think, just 6 tiny little plants, and it has spread so big, so fast, and it does really well. I think part of the reason it does so well is because rabbits like to hide in there, and they will sit there and fertilize it while they're hiding in there, and so it has just really done super well. So we have tons of thyme in our garden, and that's one of the earlier things to come back to. So you can see it's already green and ready to eat at this point, even in early April. Then right behind it, we have oregano, and that's starting to come back as well. That also comes back pretty early in the spring. So there are several little plots of oregano here. And then up over here, we have our mint. And I believe, where is it? Oh, so the mint is actually starting to spread. You can see one right there. It's actually starting to spread into our Jonathan apple patch, which I might just let it do that, honestly, because the mint will keep bugs away. It'll help to hold moisture into the soil, as long as it doesn't get too out of control where it's like stealing too much nutrients from the tree, I think I might just let it do that. But we have mint like all over here. You can see starting to grow in, and there. That's starting to come in again too. Mint is one of those things that it will take over if you let it, but it's honestly something I'm not too concerned about down here because there's so much room to expand down here. I purposely left all this empty space in here, mostly because I want to expand the strawberries. Every year I tend to plant a few more strawberries, like 1 or 2 more patches, and I want this whole thing to be covered in strawberries one of these days because we love strawberries. So there is a lot of extra space down here. So as for right now, there's tons of room for it to grow and expand. And then over here, we have some more chives down here. Now we keep chives up by the house too, just so they're easy to run out and grab for dinner to throw on top of a potato or on our tacos or things like that. But we do have some down here in the garden too. And this is our rhubarb. And I have never actually eaten rhubarb before, so this year is going to be the first year I try it. I know that the leaves are poisonous. You cannot eat the leaves. You can only eat the stalk. But it has some pretty decent stalks. I don't know if you can see. There you go. So it has like some nice stalks in there that I'm going to try out this year, and we'll see how I like it. So we have a few of those. And let's see, is there anything else down here? I think we're just coming back to the other strawberries. These are looking nice. We have so many different varieties of strawberries now that I don't even remember what's what in here, but you can see those leaves are growing in really nicely. I think this is something new that we planted last year. I want to say either this patch or that patch. One of those is Whopper strawberries. One of them is Ozark. Might be this one. And then that one I think is like Flavor Fest. I'll tell you hands down, my favorite variety of strawberry is definitely the Flavor Fest strawberries. And I think we got those from Burpee as well. Burpee's generally like the first place I check for what I'm looking for because their quality is just really good. Sometimes if their prices are too high, I'll check a different company. Like for potatoes, they're probably the most expensive potatoes you can buy if you're buying them from, you know, a company. So I usually went with like Gurney's or something up until this year where I just bought them from our local Amish farmers and overwintered them and planted those. But anywho, Flavor Fest strawberries are my absolute favorite strawberries ever. And I'm pretty sure that's what these are. But we like to grow a mixture of June bearing and ever bearing strawberries. So June bearing, you'll get a heavy crop all at once in the beginning of summer, and then the ever bearing you get like a handful a day or something, you know, throughout a couple of months. So if you want to use them for canning, you probably want to do the June bearing so you get a big batch all at once. But if you just want fresh eating, ever bearing are nice because it'll continue to produce. So anyways, I think that is mostly everything that's in the garden right now. We do have a lot of volunteer garlic that pops up over here because I had garlic here a few years ago, and because I grow the hardneck variety, that will send up a head that produces seeds, and wherever the seeds fall, they just replant themselves. So I have a ton of volunteer garlic over in this area, which is awesome as well. So anyways, I think that is mostly everything that we have in the garden right now this time of year, and I need to get up to the greenhouse and hopefully not get attacked by wasps while we check on that stuff. All right, I'm going in. It's always a little bit scary to go in here because the wasps like to come in and try to build hives, and I'm just so not okay with that. I've been stung by wasps before, and it is probably one of the more painful things I've ever experienced because I actually had a little allergic reaction to it, and I could feel it like venom going through my veins all through my body, so not a pleasant experience. All right, just checking out the eaves first. Anybody up there? Don't see anyone yet, but Usually I hear them before I see them. So if I hear the little buzz, then I might freak out. Okay. So in here, let me show you my little setup here. So I use these heating mats. I actually had a whole video filmed on this already, but when my computer crashed, I lost the video, so I have to redo it. So basically, I use these heating mats to put underneath my seeds when I'm starting my seeds. And these have a thermostat, so you can set it to exactly what temperature you want. If it's above that temperature, it will automatically turn itself off. If it drops below, it automatically turns on. You can do Fahrenheit or Celsius. And these are really, really handy. I love having these to keep my seeds at a constant temperature so they can germinate well. So I do have electricity in here to plug these in. And we are extremely blessed that we have gas wells on our property. And so we were able to put in a natural gas heater in here, which it does work well. However, this is such a big greenhouse that, like, if I put anything over on the other side, the heat doesn't really reach it too well. So when I'm germinating things in the beginning of spring, I put them really close to the heater just to make sure that the heat reaches them. And then once they get a little bigger, I can move them further away when I'm starting new seeds that need more heat. So right now I have, looks like that needs a little bit of water. Actually, I'm gonna have to water that. But right now I have a couple of blueberry bushes that I got from Walmart that were just like $6 a piece. So I grabbed those. And then this is more winter savory, this one. And that one, I overwintered those inside just as a backup because I wasn't sure if my winter savory was gonna survive the winter outside. So at the end of the season, I clipped off a couple stems from that plant and planted them in these little pots and managed to overwinter them inside. All right, I need to take off a couple layers because it is, let's see, it is about 87 degrees in here right now. It's like 30 outside, but the greenhouse works well, let me tell you. During the day, it really heats up. So give me a minute, let me take off a couple layers. Okay, one thing I normally do, which I forgot to do right now, was keep my watering can close to the heater so that the water stays warm when I'm watering. So as much as this greenhouse heats up during the day when the sun is out, it's actually not that great at maintaining the heat overnight. This plastic that the walls are made of, there's just not a lot of insulative value to it. So that's why I have like the heater and everything, the heating mats and the heater set up right next to this stuff, because it does get kind of cold in here at night. So I just forgot to keep the water next to the heater to keep the water warm. But I'm gonna take a peek here. Inside here I planted, I don't even remember, what did I plant in here? Oh, right, I planted basil, eggplant. Oh, you can feel the heat coming out of that when I open it. And sweet peppers, that's what I planted. Basil, eggplant, and sweet peppers. This soil still looks nice and moist, except for right at the end there, the part that's right next to the heater. So let me just try and drip some condensation onto that. Give those guys a little water. I might just do a quick watering of the whole thing. See if I can do this while filming and not screw everything up. Okay, just a quick little spritz. Make sure everybody's still moist. Yeah. Ooh. And get that lid back on. So when you are germinating plants, you need to have a lid on them in order to hold the moisture in, because they need to have even moisture the entire time they are trying to germinate. So you really have to keep a lid on them so that that moisture does not evaporate. So that lid stays on, and we'll check on those a little later. Again, like I said, it's been cold overnight, so that is slowing down the germination rate. But I have a heating mat under the blueberries, under the seeds, and under those blueberries. And you can see the thermostats here. So the two on the sides are like in the 70s. I don't know if you can read that in the camera, but 74.3. This one's on 78.6. And this is in Fahrenheit, of course. And the one in the middle is 89.4. So I guess the one that's directly in front of the heater is getting the most heat, and on the sides are getting a little less. But that should be germinating pretty soon with temperatures that high. Today's a nice sunny day, so hopefully that'll help. With it being a nice sunny day, I think I'm gonna turn this heat down, and I'll come back and turn it back up overnight. So let me get that, turn that down. All right, let's do that. This also has a thermostat, so it'll just stay on the pilot, and if it drops below a certain temperature, it'll kick back on. So that is the deal with that. Last thing I did, this is something I added last year. So you see this little box that says ThermoPro, or ThermPro, yeah. That is a thermometer sensor. So inside the house, and I'll try to remember to show that to you when I get back in, but inside the house is a digital read thermometer that tells me what the temperature is at this sensor point at any time during the day. So like I said, when it gets sunny, the greenhouse really heats up fast, and there have been times where it was 35 or 40 degrees outside and the inside of the greenhouse was like 120. And just because the sun heats it up so well in here, excuse me, so I would constantly have to run out and check the temperature because I have this thermometer here. I'd have to run out, like every time the sun came out, I'd have to run out and see like, oh, is it gonna get too hot in there? I need to open some windows or open the doors and let some air in so my plants don't scorch, especially when you're growing like broccoli and cauliflower and things like that. Those are cold weather crops, so they really can't handle temperatures that high. And then every time the sun would go behind the clouds, I'd have to run out again and say, oh, is the temperature dropping too fast? Do I need to turn the heat back on? Do I need to close the windows? You know, and so it was like constantly running back and forth to check the temperature was super annoying. So this sensor can tell me from the house, like I could just look at the thermometer in the house and I know exactly what the temperature is out here. So I know if I need to come out and make any adjustments without having to run back and forth all day. So I love this sensor. It's worked out really well and made my life a lot easier this year. You know, ideally a greenhouse would have like automatic roof vents that just open when it gets too hot, but like, yeah, we don't have it like that. So, you know, now we have like so much, and I'm not complaining like we don't have enough. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's not in the budget to get that type of an automated system going. So we work with what we have, and I'm very, very blessed to have what we have. Like I said, not complaining, but I'm just trying to figure out different ways to like make the process easier and more efficient. And so this ThermPro thermometer is great for that. We actually have two sensors on it. So I have one out on the side porch, and then I have one in here. And so I can see the outside temperature and the greenhouse temperature simultaneously from that one digital read thermometer. So anyways, I'll put a link to this down in the description box if you guys want to check it out, but I really recommend it highly. So here is the digital read display that I have inside. It has multiple channels. So channel 2, which it's on right now, is 86.2 degrees. That is out in the greenhouse. And then when it flashes the channel 1, that's the one on my side porch. It's a little bit warmer than the actual temperature because I had it inside to change the batteries. But you can see it just flashes between the two, and then it'll tell you at the bottom the inside temperature. And I keep this right here on the windowsill because it can get a good line of transit to my greenhouse there, and it's still close enough to the side porch that it can read both of those temperatures without having to go outside. So I love this thing, and that is how that works. I will also post a link to these heat mats for you in case you're interested in those. I highly, highly recommend these as well, just to get really good germination rates and help your seeds germinate faster. keeping that even temperature underneath them works really well. And it doesn't have to be outdoor, you can use them inside too, but I use them out here in the greenhouse just because we don't have enough sunlight in our house. Like there's no space near the windows where I can actually germinate things, so that's why we put in this greenhouse. But anyways, I'll link those down in the description box as well. I really appreciate you guys watching my videos. It means so much to me. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button and like this video if you like this kind of content. And I will be getting some more content out to you very shortly, hopefully, God willing. But I hope you guys have an amazing Easter, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.